about to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me. Be free. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free. Let's go, let's be
Evening, everyone. It's Jim here at you. Welcome to our 10th AQA A-Level Psychology live revision session for this term. I think we've got one more next week, but we are back to issues and debates. And it's a first tonight. Lara is going solo tonight because Anne's unfortunately unable to join us tonight. So Lara, it's either you and me or just you taking us through socially sensitive research. What do you think?
Yep, I think that will work absolutely fine. I'm confident. Students have been given really good answers over the last few weeks, and we've got the guides as well. Yeah.
I'll just say I've been reading it. I've got my issues and debates exam buster revision guide. I've got the page open on socially sensitive research, so I'm going to be quickly reading it so I can have a go at the answers as we go. That's not cheating, is it? That's just revising.
Yeah, that's just revising. That's fine.
So we've got about half an hour. So a variety of activities, including some exam-style activities towards the end, and a bit of knowledge retrieval as we go. So if you're with us live, use the live chat. You know this, you've done it before. Use the live chat to add your answers in. But also don't forget, Lara often, and of course Anne in other sessions, might throw in the odd bonus or follow-up question. So have a go at answering those in the live chat if you can. If there's anything we cover that you're not sure about, please again just post your comments in there and we'll try to pick them up. And if you watch on replay, don't forget, pause the video, give yourself a bit more time, maybe grab your revision guide and find out what the answer is, and then start the video again with the activity. Lara, over to you. I'm going to be guided by you. I shall try to make sure the slides go in the right order, and I'll see you at the end.
Great, thanks, Jim. Okay, so this evening's topic is paper 3, issues and debates. We are going to be covering socially sensitive, which comes under the kind of umbrella of ethical guidelines. So it is one of our issues and debates topics in paper 3. Again, you can expect to be assessed in terms of multiple choice questions, AO2 application questions, short and extended questions as well. And really, as is with all of issues and debates, it's really useful throughout your whole A level, because don't forget, you can use this and recycle this topic to evaluate other topics within psychology. So a couple of things to really be aware of in terms of ethics and socially sensitive research. Make sure you have the underpinning knowledge base of ethical guidelines. So they're our kind of ethical guidelines that we all should know via research methods from research methods. So, a couple to name a few, consent, debrief, right to withdraw are a few to mention. I won't give them all away. With socially sensitive research, we need to make sure that we know how to kind of AO1 and elaborate this and explain it. And a really good theoretical basis to explain that is by using Cyber and Stanley's criteria. So we're going to look at a bit of that criteria today in some of the games. And obviously, please do make sure that you do revisit the previous topics. And like I said before, you can apply this debate to evaluate other topics, and that will aid and help you practice your evaluation for those short or extended questions going forward, as it were. Okay, so we're going to start with the first game. We're going to start with our missing vowels. So we're starting easy, and it gets a bit tougher as we go through. So whenever you guys are ready, as usual, when you think you've got the answer, pop it in the comment box. Hello, everyone coming into the chat room. Seema, Emma, Fatima, thank you very much for saying hello this evening. So what missing vowels, what is missing here? What words are we looking for? Excellent. We're all getting there quite quickly. Easy one to get us started. Just a question to ask, guys. With the right to withdraw, when should this be given to the participants in a study? So, for example, a better way, at what point in the study should you tell the participant or give them the information that they have the right to withdraw? Or maybe how many times should it be given even? So Fatima, you're saying at the beginning. Quite right. So at the beginning, most likely in the consent form. Daniel, you're also saying at the beginning, before the study's carried out, at the start. Is there anywhere else that we should maybe remind the participants they have the right to withdraw? Anywhere else we should maybe mention it? Because you're quite right in saying we should really say that at the start, of course. Saffron, you're saying at the end as well. Well done. Yeah, I would definitely say in the debrief form they should be reminded of their right to withdraw. And at that point, it's really right to withdraw, themselves and the data, because obviously at that point they've collected data. Daniel, interestingly, you've put continuously throughout. Yeah, we do actually probably want to mention it maybe within the study if there's an opportunity to. So, for example, perhaps standardized instructions. If you're giving instructions out at any point as a researcher, we might again give that opportunity to remind the participants that they do have the right to withdraw. So well done, really good answers, guys. Let's go over to the second one then. So what is this? So missing vowels here, we've got two words. What are we thinking with this one? Fatima, in there again, first. Yeah, and Seema, cost benefit. Emma, well done. You're saying cost benefit as well. Really good. Okay, then. That's all very well. But what does it mean? And what does it mean with regards to ethics and doing studies? Can anyone articulate that for me? What does this mean in terms of ethics and conducting studies? And this really does come into play when we look at social sensitivity as well in terms of cost benefit. So what is meant by cost benefit? We could add a word on the end there and call it cost benefit analysis. Yeah, good. So we've got some good answers coming through here. So Fatima, you've said needs to be evaluated. Is it worth violating ethical guidelines? Yeah, elaborate that really. What do you mean? Is it worth? What's the worth? What's the? So we know what the cost is. You said that, but what may be the benefit? Seema, whilst doing a study, there should be more pros than cons. So you're saying we should be able to get more out of the study than we lose or sacrifice? Yeah, okay. Callum, research may cause some minimal harm to participants but may have benefits to society that outweigh those harms. Yeah, really good. So maybe what the study actually tells us, the information that it tells us, is actually way more beneficial than maybe the harm that might be caused to participants, is what we're saying. Yeah, definitely something that we might consider in evaluation sense, and definitely something that we may want to take on board when we're thinking about socially sensitive research. And something being socially sensitive, does the benefit of what the research may tell us and give us outweigh that? Yeah, excellent. Well done, guys. Well done. Really good answers. Let's go on to the next missing vowels then. So for this one, what have we got? What are we thinking with this one, guys? Fatima in there first again. We are Speedy Gonzalez tonight. Yeah, and Emma, well done. And Saffron, yep. So we're getting the idea. Daniel as well. Confidentiality. Can anybody give me an example of how to, when research is published, how can we keep participants' confidentiality? What might we do when we write the research up in a study? How might we keep it confidential? Any ideas in terms of the participants or? Excellent, Emma. Yeah. So we may just maybe number them or letter them like person A, person B. Good. That's one way. Yeah, Callum, we'd avoid using real names, but give me a bit of extra there. Avoid using their real names. You might need to give an example in the exam of confidentiality. So you might want to say, numbering them, using code names, for example. Not giving out any personal information. Yeah, excellent. Really good suggestions here. I think you're getting the idea here with the confidentiality. Good, good, good. Excellent. Right. We're getting a bit tougher now with the last two missing vowels. What do we think this stands for? Okay, Emma in there first. Both Emmas. Yeah, stereotypes. What are stereotypes got to do with this evening's session? And that's a very general question, but what may stereotypes have to do with socially sensitive research? Any ideas? What's that got to do with this evening's session on socially sensitive research? Okay, Emma, what do we mean by that? Can we maybe elaborate that slightly for me when you say can bias results? How do stereotypes come into socially sensitive research? Okay, Daniel, that's not the wrong answer. Yeah, stereotypes can influence the psychologist's perception of the participants. Yeah. I guess in a way, certain research that's conducted can lead to stereotypes and can actually be negatively impacted, particularly certain groups of people, certain marginalized groups in society. There could be quite negative implications in terms of stereotypes towards certain groups. Yeah. Seema, really good. You have to be careful whilst doing research that you don't make the stereotypes worse and can affect a particular minority group. Yeah, really good elaboration there. And we're gonna look at a bit more of this throughout the session. Saffron, there may be social consequences based. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, there could be. Yeah, definitely. Really good answers, guys. And Emma, influenced the researcher and preconceptions add to pre-existing. Absolutely. Oh, Callum, this is really good. I'm going to share your one, Callum. So, a study shows adolescents in the area more likely to abuse the elderly, and that leads to stereotyping and old people don't go out. Yeah, really good example there. I like that. And we've even got it on the screen. Excellent. Well done, guys. Right, let's do our last missing vowel then. And then we're going to move on to a game called Give Me Three. So what do we think the last phrase here is, the last word? Cool. We're doing really well this evening. I thought the last two you'd maybe have a bit of struggle with, but actually we're doing really well. A lot of us have put discrimination here. Excellent. Well done. All of you said discrimination. Again, kind of on the same kind of wavelength as our last missing vowel, stereotypes. These are kind of some of the negative implications, if you like, of socially sensitive research, which we're going to look at a bit more detail as we go through some of the games today. Yeah, definitely smart work, Callum. Well done, you. Okay, let's move on to the next game. So we're going to be doing Give Me Three. So let's read this carefully, guys. So you are going to give me, or try to give me, three aspects that Seibert and Stanley outlined in the scientific research process that raise ethical implications in socially sensitive research. In other words, Seibert and Stanley kind of outlined potential factors that can cause social sensitivity. And I want to know what some of those factors are that Seibert and Stanley have outlined. So if you can't give me three, but you've got one in your mind, type one. But if you can give me three, then type them in the same message and then press enter when you're done. Off you go, guys. Okay, so that was quite a quick 30 seconds, wasn't it, guys? So, Emma, we've got something. Research question. Yeah, definitely. Could be damaging to a particular group. Add scientific credibility to pre-existing prejudices. Yeah, really good, Emma. That is definitely an option. Anybody got any other aspects that Seibert and Stanley have outlined? Saffron, you said the institutional context and the really good interpretation, application of findings. Callum again, interpretation, application of results. The way findings are used and the research question by YM, excellent. Yeah, definitely kind of demonstrating that some of you have got some knowledge here of Seibert and Stanley's kind of aspects here. So we've got the methodology used, interpretation, application of findings, which most of you got. We've also got the institutional context. So just to be clear, let's elaborate one of these. So the interpretation and application of research method. We're talking about researchers needing to consider the use to which others may put their findings. So many different ways in which research findings can be misused. So we need to be mindful of that. And if research is not carried out, then findings cannot be misused. However, neither will there be any benefit to society. So again, that's kind of touching on that cost benefit analysis again. A lot of you said research question there. So yeah, there may be harm to particular social groups. May occur in quite a subtle way through assumptions, maybe attitudes, maybe values. Individual participants may be protected from harm. And that's great because that's what ethical guidelines are there for. but the social groups to which they belong to actually may be harmed as a result of the research process. So we need to kind of be mindful of the indirect effects, because actually what research is, if you like, quite good at doing is putting those ethical guidelines into play for the participants currently taking part in the study. But what it doesn't really kind of encompass is the knock-on effect to kind of, if you like, family, social groups, or other people in the community that may be associated with that participant or the study aims or questions, if you like. So there's definitely, for your AO1 for social sensitivity, I definitely say knowing this kind of theoretical basis of Cyber and Stanley's kind of potentials of what can cause social sensitivity is really important. So just to be clear, guys, just to give you the 4, because I know I've put 3 here, but there are 4 altogether. We should have the formulation of a research question, which a few of you got, so well done. We should also have kind of how the research is carried out and how participants are kind of treated, so like the methodology used. We should also have the context within which the research is carried out, the institutional context, if you like. And lastly, the interpretation and application of research method as well. So quite a few of you got at least one of those. Some of you got 2 of them, which is really good. Some of you that are looking at this thinking, oh, I'm not too sure. What I will just say while we're here is Cyber and Stanley, they're not quoted in the spec wording. Why is that important? You may have heard me say this before. It's not quoted in the spec wording, so AQA cannot ask you on a question specifically on Cyber and Stanley. However, outlining and explaining socially sensitive research, if you use Cyber and Stanley, that can really help give your answers some shape and some direction, and actually you're kind of framing it on these kind of 4 kind of potential aspects as well, which will really help demonstrate to the examiner, if you like, your full understanding of what we mean by socially sensitive research. So I actually think it's a really good kind of theoretical basis to know and understand. And definitely that's kind of on our Tutor 2 resources and in the textbooks as well. If you're looking at this thinking, oh, I'm not too sure about this or don't remember it, then definitely it's worth looking this up, guys. Okay, really, really good, guys. Let's move on to categorize. So categorize, something a bit different here we're going to do. So what we're going to do, we're going to use Milgram's study. That's with the assumption that most of you have covered Milgram at this point. Don't worry if you haven't. Perhaps you can just try and have a go. But what we've got is we've got kind of 8 answers on the right-hand side, and you've got to try and separate them into the 2 categories. So Milgram's pros and Milgram's cons. So if you like, we're kind of doing a cost-benefit analysis of Milgram's study. So going to give you, maybe Jim can give you double the amount of time for this. There's quite a bit of writing there to read, but really all you need
I certainly
to do
can. Yeah, we'll do.
Thank you, Jim. All you guys have got to do is maybe just put the numbers down. So maybe put pro and then put the numbers you think that go under pro, then put con, and then put the numbers you think that go under con. Okay, so no need to write the answer, just pop the numbers down. All right then, off we go, guys. Okay, perfect. So we got a few answers here. Emma, you've got some of those right. So we've put pros as number 2. Actually, I don't know why number 2's there because it's not actually an answer. But let's go to your next one. Number 5, yes. 6 and 8. 8 is not a pro. That's actually be a con because it's actually very difficult to withdraw. I think Callum, you were the one that got all of them correct actually, so well done to Callum there. But quite a few of you got, the majority of those answers correct. If we just go through this then, so Milgram's cons are obviously they were deceived. But actually 83.7% said they were glad to have been in the experiment. And they were debriefed at the end as well, just to add to that. So that's kind of the opposing argument. Protection from harm, potentially they weren't protected from harm psychologically, we could argue. Can anybody remember any of the kind of psychological symptoms or psychological description of the participants in Milgram's study? What were they presenting like? What was happening to them, the participants? Anybody remember from Milgram's study? Might have been quite a while ago that you did Milgram's study, some of you. Yeah, YM, excellent. Yeah, so participants were sweating, they were shivering, some even had full-blown seizures. Yeah, Callum, well done. Several had seizures, well done. Yeah, increasingly uncomfortable and anxious, distressed. Yeah, really good, Fatima, excellent. Yeah, so definitely we could arguably say maybe not protected from harm. However, Milgram's opposing argument there is the sample followed up a year later and they were found no signs of long-term psychological harm. Right to withdraw. Now, a lot of researchers would argue that participants really didn't have the right to withdraw. It was made very difficult, which it shouldn't really be made difficult to withdraw from an experiment. Milgram's argument there was that actually 35% of the participants actually chose to withdraw. So obviously they were able to withdraw and they did withdraw. Can anybody remember any of the experimenters' prods in Milgram's experiment that kind of made it difficult for the participant to withdraw? Can anybody remember the experimenters' prods that were said? So when the participant said, oh, I can't go on, I refuse to do this, what can anybody remember what some of the things are that the experimenter said to the participant that made it quite difficult for them to withdraw at the time? Excellent. Yeah, Seema, the experiment requires you to continue. Yeah, you must continue. Please continue. Yeah, really good. Yeah, excellent. Well done, Callum. Same one. Yeah, the experiment requires you to continue. Please continue. Yeah, excellent. So this is really just getting you to think about the cost-benefit analysis, if you like, and opposing arguments in terms of ethics for Milgram's study. And that's really what I'm going to get you to do with some of the exam style questions in a bit. So if we move on then to the next activity. So what we're going to do now, guys, just to explain to you, we're going to do 2 kind of exam practice questions, and then we're going to do a scrambled sentences to end this evening. So there is quite a bit of writing, but I really want you to kind of read the stem here, this study by Humphrey. It's quite a famous study, actually. Some of you may recollect or recognise this study. Maybe you've covered it in class or you just have heard about it. So we've got Humphreys carried out research into the practices and social interactions of gay men meeting up in a public toilet for sex. He posed as a gay man and met with and talked to his participants. To find out more about his participants' backgrounds, he took their car number plates and used a contact in the police to find out where they lived. Humphreys concluded that most of the stereotypes about gay men were untrue and that their public sexual practices were not harmful to anyone. So the question here, guys, is this is an example of socially sensitive research. Briefly explain how this is socially sensitive and the implications of this research. So what I really want you to maybe think about and maybe contribute as a bit of a group effort in the chat box this evening, I just want to hear a brainstorm from you or kind of write some bullet points or plan points about how you might go about answering this. Like, what kind of ideas would you write down for this? If you're going to write a plan for this before you wrote it out in the exam, what kind of things would you be thinking to include? So the question here is asking you to explain how that is socially sensitive. And if it is socially sensitive, what would be the implications of that exactly? Yeah, so Fatima, you want me to explain what socially sensitive means? That's a really good point. So, socially sensitive is basically any research that has the potential to affect participants, maybe the social group they belong to, or whole societies. So, sensitive topics are where there is a risk or where the findings are threatening for someone. It can also be socially sensitive if it involves loss of confidentiality as well. Oh, tutor to you. Yeah, really good. Breach of privacy, tutor to you, saying getting those car number plates. Yeah, I think so as well, tutor to you, actually. So, Emma, you'd write the ethical issues. Oh, sorry, Fatima, my apologies. Yeah. So you may explain what socially sensitive research is, but I think the key here is it's an application question. So we really want to see how you would answer this in terms of discussing the Humphrey study. What is socially sensitive there? Emma, confidentiality, him finding out about people's backgrounds without asking. Yeah, no consent. Totally, yeah. And Keita, we've put the participants haven't received informed consent. No, they definitely haven't. And he is using number plates, and participants may not want that information to be used. Yeah, excellent. So no informed consent, definitely not. And obviously loss of kind of confidentiality and privacy there as well. Yeah, definitely. We're all noticing that getting their address. And clearly from a contact in the police. Oh, tutor to you is really doing well here, guys. I'm surprised someone hasn't already said this. So there's definitely some deception, because if we can read the second sentence in the stem here, it says he posed as a gay man. He met, and he even made the effort to talk to his participants. So he's actually pretending he was someone that he wasn't. So there's definitely deception going on there as well. Anything else that we can think? What about implications of this research? How do you think maybe the gay community may feel after this? Is a question for you. So a lot of these types of questions, guys, and you will get these kind of AO2 questions in the exam. A lot of these style of questions do encourage you to kind of use your initiative. It's not very, these type of questions aren't a textbook black and white answer. And this is why it's good to practice AO2 questions, because a lot of the time you are encouraged to use your initiative and really think about that answer. It's not going to stare at you in the face in the STEM. You've really got to kind of get your psychologist head on, if you like, and try and really analyze it. But we've had some really good answers there. I'm actually quite impressed that we've analysed that. If we look at some of the suggestive outlines of the answers here for this, so definitely breach of privacy. A lot of you kind of mentioned that, which is spot on. So loss of public trust in public places like toilets might be an implication there. Deception, tutor 2 mentioned that. Yeah, posing as a gay man. Daniel, this is actually a really good analysis. I like this. So, could you argue that they would feel angered? Probably, yeah, they would probably be quite angered, the community, but slightly relieved because he proved the stereotype as being untrue. Yeah, so maybe there's a kind of a negative and a positive implication there potentially. Could have a harmful effect on the minority group and possibly making them more marginalised and looked down upon. Yeah, really good. Excellent answers, both of you there at the end. Really good. So, impact on gay community, it could be used to increase or lessen the stereotype potentially. that Humphreys was actually trying to kind of research. And obviously, it's so invasive, not just invasive in terms of, getting the address and the car number plate, but actually invasive in terms of going into the public toilet and posing as someone else. Um, and Seymour, you put perhaps the researcher was biased as well. Yeah, potentially. Yeah. Excellent. Really good answers coming through here, and really good and analytical skills that are being demonstrated by all of you there in the chat. So well done. Let's have another go at another study then. So we've got this one. Lowney carried out participant observations of a group of teenage Satanists. If you don't know what Satanists are, it's basically the primary belief that Satan is an actual kind of person to worship, if you like. Okay. And this participant observation was done in a small American town. Lowney documented the views on life and society, their activities, which tended to centre on listening to music and a small amount of underage drinking and drug taking. She argued that their adoption of Satanism was a symbolic critique and rejection of the heavily stratified and hierarchical nature of American high school society. So this one might not seem so much more obvious like the previous study, but still there's quite a bit of socially sensitive kind of aspects going on there, especially I want you to think about when this is published. So again, I want you to briefly explain how this study might be socially sensitive and maybe any implications you can think of with that particular study being conducted or being released into the public domain. What are your thoughts with that? Okay, Lucy. Implications of research could affect opinions of American high school. Yeah. And actually, yeah, it's a really good point, Lucy. And actually, more kind of more generally it could do, but also specifically depending on how the research is published, if the American town is published or the area, locals might be able to kind of guess which school this was, and actually, therefore, a bad name or reputation will be given to that school as a result of this research, potentially. Emma, you're saying informed consent doesn't say participants aware of documentation. Yeah, I mean, hypothetically, you're saying, that there isn't informed consent here written, but we would assume here there was informed consent. But if there wasn't, it doesn't say that participants are aware of documentation. I think just generally, overly, Emma, if something's being published about someone, definitely you need to have consent from that. So well done for noticing that. Callum, yeah, really good, in depth here. So Callum's saying it could cause the group to fall further out of favour with society. Absolutely. Yeah, they're already kind of, we could say they're already maybe got a bad name. I mean, they might not do, but in terms of saying that they worship Satan, we would assume so. So again, they could fall further out of kind of their social group in society and be kind of rejected, if you like. Any other points that we can think of there? What about parents? I mean, these are teenagers. Any thoughts there? Yeah, Emma, really good. Could increase concern for other teenagers that like to listen to music. So if you hear other teenagers listening to kind of, I don't know, some music, or maybe you see some teenagers underage drinking or drug taking, you might assume that they're Satanists as well. So it could create quite a bad stereotype in terms of that age group, definitely. So following publication, potentially these teenagers, their lives could be made more difficult. So for example, there could be a parental backlash, potentially, if parents found out. There could be, and I think this was already mentioned, Callum, kind of same point as what you said, exclusion from society or their social group. And definitely they could also be rejected by their peers and social groups at school, potentially. Again, this is all going by the fact of how the research is actually published. It could be totally anonymous and confidential in terms of the area and the school and the participants. But let's just say it's not. All of these kind of socially sensitive knock-on implications could occur as a result of this particular study. So really, really well done, guys. Really good analysis. We're going to finish this evening's session off with a scrambled sentence game. So again, if you haven't played this before, what I'd like you to do, you're going to read all 6 statements here, and it makes up an AO3 paragraph, so an evaluation point, but they're all scrambled. So when you think you've got the right order, if you can just pop the numbers in a row in your chat, and then once you've put them all down, so all six, then press enter and pop it in. So as Tutor 2's just said and explained, we want 6 numbers in the correct order. Okay, so I'll give you a bit of time to have a read and digest of that. Yeah, Emma, sorry, missed that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, participant observation. There could be a bias potentially with the researcher. Yeah, absolutely. So who's going to get in there first this evening? Anyone got down how we might start this? What number may we start with here? YM, really well done. We are going to start with the number 4. Excellent. Yep, and Keita, well done. Yep, we're starting with 4. What comes after 4 then? Quite a tough one in terms of the next couple, I think. So we're starting with 4. So a weakness of socially sensitive research is current ethical guidelines fail to cater for the indirect effects of this type of research. And Keita, you're saying 1. It's not 1, although that is a good guess. Well, it's a good answer. It's not 1. Saffron, you're nearly right, but it's not 1, which is the next one. But we have got 5 right, Saffron, so number 5 comes third. So it's 4 something, then 5. It's not 3, Lucy. It's not 2. Are we all just guessing here? It's not 5. No. Maybe I should give you the second one because it's quite hard. So the order of the first 2, we've got 4. Well done for getting that. It's actually 6 is the next one. So it's 4, 6, and 5. So we've got the first 3. Well done, Emma. 4, 6, and 5. So it's just the last 3 to do now. So 4, 6, and 5. What comes after? Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, so Callum, you said 3. Tutor to you. Quite right. Yeah, 3's most likely to come at the end. So what have we got, Fatima? We've got 4, 6, 5. You got it a bit muddled at the end there. And we got a winner. And Keita, you got it first. You got it correct. Really good. Excellent. Right, let's go through it, shall we? Let's just have a read through, a digest. So, a weakness of socially sensitive research is current ethical guidelines fail to cater for the indirect effects of this type of research. So, it's not sufficient to safeguard the participants in the study. There is also a danger of an indirect effect of the research. For example, there is a potential for indirect effects of research to affect the participants' family and co-workers. Current guidelines fail to require researchers to consider how their findings may be used by other people or institutions to form and/or shape public policy. For example, the development of IQ tests was used to demonstrate the inferiority of certain groups of people. However, it has also been used to identify the feeble-minded, who could then be sterilised. This is an overall weakness, as it may mean some marginalised groups may still continue to be harmed by researchers' conclusions and applications. So, really good effort, all of you. Really, really impressed with your answers this evening. Quite a lot of writing to kind of read on the screens tonight, but you've done really, really well analysing those studies. And definitely, if some of you are sitting here this evening, kind of not feeling so confident with Cyber and Stanley, I would definitely have a look up of those factors that they outlined to help with your elaboration for your AO1.
Superb stuff. And don't forget, if you go to tutordu.net/live, there we go. There's the link on the screen there. Lara and Anne and the team, particularly Lara and Anne, this term have put together lots of other sessions on issues and debates, along with, if you go back earlier to 2021, the paper one topics and, research methods throughout. So lots of these sessions, if you want to go back over those. But I think we've done 3 or 4 issues and debates, haven't we, this term? So a good chance if you're not quite on top of that, not quite sure about it, go through those sessions. Hopefully that'll be useful. I managed to get 2 of the answers right by using this Issues and Debates knowledge book. He says plugging this amazing resource that Anne and the team have written. And there's lots in here about socially sensitive research. So if that's something that's of use to you, I'll leave a link in the comments box on the video. Lara, many thanks. That was amazing. I hardly noticed it was just you doing it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got some really good, well-extended answers tonight. I was really
amazing answers, as we always do, but particularly it looks like the students joining us tonight are really in good shape for whatever is coming up. If you've got mocks or assessments coming up, either before or in many cases after the holiday, all the best for those. We've still got another session next week, so it's a Tuesday at 5:30. If you can join us, that's fantastic, and we'll see you next time. See you later.
Great. Everyone, bye.